So police have continued to remove encampments throughout the summer. Is your strategy going to change at all as you move into winter?
No, I mean, there is more shelter space and we're continuing to monitor that and, making sure that it's a place for people to go. I think the whole thing goes back to when you look at where we were at that point in time last year to where we are now, we've made considerable progress from multiple angles, including the violence in relation to the gangs and stuff. We've had a really good impact of cleaning them out. We've managed to lay several charges in relation to that. The other piece is I think there's over 4,000 people now that have actually visited the navigation center. That's not just police. That's, now all service providers are taking them there, getting them help, getting them the things that they need. I know the province is still proceeding with the Compassionate Intervention Act, so hopefully that gets us to a point to help those folks that are really struggling with, drug psychosis or stuff like that maybe aren't making their best decisions. But in the meantime, we got to do what we can to keep them safe. And, I want to be very, very clear, and it's not just police, it's certainly all of our partners as well. Being in an encampment in the cold weather in a tent, a nylon tent, and watching people burn to death like we unfortunately had to last year is not on this year.
I guess the presence of encampments speaks to a basic failure of us to take care of these folks. I mean, I know there are some room in shelters, but it seems like people don't want to go there for various reasons. Either they have a partner with them, or they have a dog, or they have their own possessions they can't take with them. There's so many different factors that weigh into this, and the clearing of shelters in some cases looks like it's heavy-handed in some ways. And you know what it looks like sometimes.
Yeah, and I mean, to be clear though, a lot of those things that you mentioned, pets, that's been addressed. You mentioned take their belongings, that's been addressed. I mean, I think we got to do what we can to address as many of these things as we can. But, I look at it from a perspective, if that was my daughter or my son out there and, struggling with that, and if, you had to see somebody burn to death, which a lot of our first responders have done that, we have to do what we can to prevent that. Now, back to the point is, what we saw was, 2 to 500 people, some type of Compassion Intervention Act, drug psychosis, huge mental health issues. That's a different solution. We saw that 12 to 1,500 people are in that, stabilization piece. Might be addictions. They need some employment. They need a few things like that, trying to get them connected to services. But what we also seen, which was a bit unique, and certainly it also shows up in the social housing in this city, is a lot of the growth in these spaces is our immigrant population. And that's
Really?
Significant. And the point of reason that we say that is, those are three different solutions. And, approaching this and thinking this is all encampments is just fundamentally wrong. That's not the case.
Has the dismantling of homeless encampments, pushed people across a wider area in the city core, maybe just distributed the problem differently?
You know what? There's two things. I think it's distributed, certainly, but we're well aware of that. I mean, everything to drones in the air and trying to obviously deal with it. We're dealing with a really significant one under a bridge right now, a tunnel, and some of it possibly could be infrastructure problems that we have to look at now with our partners. But that said, there's not more of, you always hear there's more. There's not. It's actually quite a bit less, and we'll continue to work on that. But for whatever reason, as I said, there's some people that are really struggling to make decisions, and we have to ensure that we're looking at those people from an individual perspective, what their needs are, and trying to get them the services. But I think what we've unfortunately been led to believe by several is this is just a housing issue. It's way beyond that. We got a serious mental health and addictions issue with a certain portion. But the good part is it isn't as big as we thought it is, but even a little bit is too big, if that makes sense.
Yeah.